Our bead buddy, this thing is a must-have and a lifesaver. Add just a little bit of air into this tube and just kind of get it expanded a little bit. Get it over and start working it around my wheel. That way I'm already past my valve stem. If I'm riding motocross, I may run a little bit less, but if I'm riding hard pack, I'll run a little bit more. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. We're here in the garage working on the KTM 125 build. And I'm super excited about this video because this is going to dress the bike up a ton. Today we're going to install our tubes and tires on our brand new wheel set. Now, if you missed that video, go check it out. The wheels turned out sick. You're gonna see them here in just a minute, I know. But go check it out on how to lace your own wheels. It's a super easy process, and these turned out amazing. So that being said, behind me I have a whole bunch of tools and gear that we're going to talk about, show you what you need to do this on your own, and hopefully get you confident in changing your own tires. Now, I will say this, I do not own a tire stand, and I never have owned a tire stand, so this is going to be without a tire stand. The majority of you will probably never own one, so if you're looking for a video like this, then you're in the right place. So let me show you what's behind me, and we'll get started here. Okay, now here we are. We've got our Tusk tire irons. There's two sets of tire irons here. I have these Motion Pro, basically trail irons. So you throw these in your backpack. That way, if you get in a bind and have to change a tube on the trail, you have them with you. And they're not as bulky as these. But these are what you're going to need to change a tire. I did use these for years. And to be totally honest with you, I didn't realize how horrible or how much easier tire changing was when I got the right set of irons. So get you a good set of tire irons, longer handle, more leverage, that kind of stuff. We've got our soapy water. This is just a mix between Dawn dish soap and water. Here we've got our, these are rim savers. So basically what these are, and I've never used these before, so don't get me wrong. Basically these are trying to protect the black powder coating or whatever on your wheels if you have a black set of wheels. And I ordered these just on a whim because I was like, you know, I want to try them out, see if they actually do anything. But to be totally honest with you, I'm pretty confident in my tire changing abilities that I'm probably not even going to use these, but we'll see what happens. Here we've got our bead buddy. This thing is a must-have and a lifesaver. What this does is this holds your bead down once you've set it underneath your rim, locking onto your spoke and keeping everything in place. You have to have one of these. Okay, you don't have to have one of these. You should have one of these if you're going to even attempt a tire change. We've got our Kenda tubes. Now, I'm not partial to Kenda by any means, but these are some heavy-duty tubes. They are what was available at Rocky Mountain when I ordered tubes. So this is what we got to work with, so we'll try them out. We've got electrical tape. Going to use this to band the rim. And then we've also got our rim locks here with some cleaned up nuts. Get you a good pair of gloves because you're going to wish you had gloves. Once you get halfway into this, you're going to realize your hands are all black and nasty. So this is the essentials. I will put a link down below where you can get it in the description. So go pick your stuff up. This is not expensive by any means, but you need to have this equipment at the bare minimum for sure. Oh, and before I forget, one more thing. You need to have some baby powder to put inside the tires. As I was talking about it, I remembered, crap, I'm missing one thing. That was it. So baby powder to keep your wheel or your tire from chafing on your tube. Okay, right here we've got our front wheel and then we've got our back wheel. Now you're probably wondering, what meat are we throwing on these? Well, we are going to go with some Starcross 5 medium compound tires. Now I have run these tires myself. These are motocross tires. And I loved them. I absolutely loved them. Right now I'm running Dunlop MX33s on it, which are kind of hard to get right now. But your next best bet, in my opinion, is going to be the Michelin Starcross 5s. They're amazing tires. So you can't go wrong with it. I'm excited to see how these look. They are a little bit more aggressive, I feel like, than the Dunlops. But man, I loved them. I loved them on my 250F that I had. And then I also had them on my YZ 252 stroke that I used to have. So I love them. They're great tires. I can't say anything bad about them at all. That's what we're going to put on the project bike. So I think that wraps up about everything as far as the intro goes and what we need to do. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to tape up our rims, punch our holes through for our rim locks and our valve stem, and then we will start putting it together on the floor. All right, now the first thing we're going to do is take our electrical tape, and I use a very good quality electrical tape that's not going to fall apart and you know, bleed all that sticky garbage everywhere. And we're just going to make a couple laps around the wheel, probably about 3 or 4, and we want to cover these spoke nipples really well and give ourselves a great chance of having our tube stay intact without rubbing on this. This is very, very important. Now, the reason I'm using electrical tape and not a rim band is because I've used electrical tape before, and it works out really good. Some people use duct tape, but if you ever need to get it off and replace it, duct tape is a nightmare. So electrical tape seems to work very, very well. So make a couple laps around this, and then we will be back to punch the holes for the rim lock and the valve stem. Okay, the next thing I need to do is, whoops. Oh, okay, I'm back. The next thing I need to do is, here's my hole for my valve stem. I'm just going to take a punch. I'm just going to come in from the back side and just punch the hole and kind of make it a little bit bigger so that I can insert my valve stem and my bead lock without an issue. There we go. Now that our wheels are prepped, we're going to do a little prep on our tires here. And all I'm going to do here is just put a little bit of baby powder in there and just kind of shake it through the tire as I rotate it. And that will keep everything from chafing on the tube. We do not want that to happen. Whoa. A little excessive on baby powder here. There we go. All right, guys, we're on the ground here, and the first thing that we're going to do, we're going to work on the front tire first, and then I will, after I show you how to do it, we'll time lapse and probably do the rear. Now, what I'm going to do here first, before I get too carried away, is I'm going to take out my tube, and then I'm going to need probably a 12 or a 10 on this, sorry, to get the rim lock nuts off, or the nuts off for the valve stem. And what we're going to do is we're going to leave this bottom one on, and we're going to keep these, set them aside for now, probably right there so we don't lose them. And I'm going to add just a little bit of air into this tube and just kind of get it expanded a little bit. Not enough here to actually, you know, do anything is pressure wise that way, if that makes sense. In fact, I'm going to let just a little bit out here. Okay, about like that, just where it's kind of squishy. Now you can see that's going to fit on there just fine. I'm going to go ahead and work with my brake rotor up, because what I don't want to do is bend my brake rotor, being that I'm working on the ground. So I'm always going to keep it up. Now that does kind of leave the tire a little bit, or the wheel a little bit wobbly, but we will work through it, no problem. Now I've got that aired up. I did that on purpose because I need to fit that inside my tire. Now I'm going to grab my tire. Now if you're working with a directional tire, that's important. You want to make sure you put it on the correct way. The Star Cross now is not directional, so we do not have to worry about that one bit. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and spray the outside of my wheel, or my tire, excuse me, and get it set up, because I need to have it lubricated so that it slides on fine across the rim. So what I'm going to do is just spray right here inside, or on the outside of the bead. Be a little bit thorough with it and set it aside for a minute. Now what I forgot to do already was get my rim lock and kind of get it started. So I'm going to find my hole where my rim lock goes, which will be right there. Put it in, and then go ahead and thread this part of the way on. Now the next thing I'm going to do, grab my wheel, my tire, and I'm going to go ahead and put this inside of the tire, because it makes it so much easier to install if you do it this way. Now I've only pinched a couple tubes, and to be honest, they were on small bikes. So my pit bike, stuff like that. And if you've ever changed tires before, you understand that the smaller the tire, the worse it gets. Especially when you get into the really tiny, like 8-inch wheels. Really small, gets really difficult. Okay, now I've got my rim lock set up. What I'm gonna do is I've got my stem right there. I'm going to rotate it until I can get it to fit into my valve stem hole, which is going to be right here. Now the trick is to go ahead and insert your valve stem into the hole and then fit the tire over the first side of your wheel. So I'm gonna go ahead, insert it in here, and then I'll grab the camera and show you exactly what I'm talking about. If I can get it started here. My fresh electrical tape. There we go. Now we got to start. And then I'm going to put my nut on my valve stem right there. Okay, let me show you guys what we got here. Okay, so I've lubricated the back side of my tire. I have not lubricated the top yet. And what I've done is I've got my rim lock inserted over here, and I've got my valve stem inserted over here inside of my tire. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to shove my tire up into the bead and work it over that lip and over the rim lock. I want to do that all in one shot if I can. If not, I can go back and I can pop it over the rim lock. Now, by doing it this way, if you notice, there is no tube anywhere where you're going to have a tire iron. And that's what you want. So this is the reason why I insert the tube first into the tire. That way when I'm working it, I'm not worried about pinching it. So let's move on and start working the tire over the rim. Okay, hopefully that view works out pretty good for you guys. I'm trying to give you the best view possible so that this works out really well. And you guys aren't starving for a better view. Okay, I'm gonna shove this up in here, work from my valve stem right here. And what I wanna do is just work my tire right over my wheel, like so. Come over here to this side, do the same thing, and I like to use my knee just to kind of hold the tire down, and it helps make everything go just a little bit smoother. Just like that. And the hard part gets kind of where your rim lock shows up, which will be right here. And I need to lift up a bit, get my wrench underneath, and I can pop this baby over. Now the trick with doing tire changes is just taking little bites at a time. Bigger the bite you take, harder it gets. All the way around. Gets so much harder. So much harder. Okay, now I've just got this little area right here where my rim lock is. Because I have this nice black powder coated wheel, I'm just gonna aid myself and lift up on the tire a hair and then go ahead and pop this over. Now I've got to start. Now, I didn't get over my rim lock, which is what I want to do, and honestly, it's because I didn't tighten it tight enough. But, flip it back over. You can see where our rim lock is. Okay, so now, what I need to do is just grab my tire and start working it this direction over my rim lock. Pretty easy mistake to make. Let me get where you guys can see this. There we go. Just like that, no problem. Okay, now I'm on my rim lock. I can flip this tire back over and I can check it right here just to make sure my tube is, and it's good. Now I'm halfway there, got my tire on. I'm still good on my valve stem, hasn't moved at all. Everything's loose, that's how we want it. Now I'm gonna go ahead, spray my wheel or my tire. Make sure I've got nice lubrication. And like I said, grab your gloves. Okay, this is where the bead buddy comes in handy. Now what I want to do is I'm going to start on this side of my valve stem. So my valve stem is in line right here with the camera, with you guys. What I'm going to do is start on this side of it, get it over, and start working it around my wheel. That way I'm already past my valve stem. Okay, so the first step is to go ahead and put your tire over take your bead buddy here. Let's go one more hit right here on this side and push it over just like so. Anyway, grab your bead buddy, insert it into your rim, and then lock it onto your spoke that corresponds right there. So now we're good to go. Now at this point, I don't need to worry about my bead popping up over my wheel. Okay, so now I'm gonna start working my way over, just taking these small bites with my tire until I get all the way around until I get near the end, and then we're gonna do a little bit of I guess finagling with the tire to get it ready to seat. Okay, now I'm on my bead lock, so what I want to make sure, or my rim lock, I keep saying bead lock. Maybe I haven't said bead lock, but okay, I'm gonna get over my rim lock. Okay, and at this point I've realized I gotta loosen my rim lock just a little bit to let it move, just like that. So if you tighten your rim lock too much, then you have to go back and just kind of loosen it up and get it that way. Okay, now the whole time here I'm just barely biting the rim. Barely biting the rim, that way to avoid getting any kind of pinch on my tube, because this is where it happens all the time, is right at this point. Now that I'm here, push down on my tire, and I want my bead to fall down so that it can give me some room to fold the tire over on this edge. Okay, if that makes sense, because this is my tightest part. So I want my bead inside of my wheel. And now this is where we just take little tiny bites till we get it all the way on. And you will need to use multiple irons at this point to help yourself reach the end here. Okay. And then just like that, no problem. And we have an installed wheel tire on our wheel. Okay, now we're ready to go ahead and put air in our tube, fill it up, and let the beads seat. Before I do that, I'm just gonna give it a little bit more lubrication here. All right, I like it. Now we're gonna go ahead, give her just a bit of air here and seat the bead. Now, if the bead does not seat right away, then let the air out, re-lubricate it, try again. You don't want to overinflate it to where you're going to pop the tube. All right, so in this case right here, my bead's seated all the way around except for right here. So take my valve stem puller, and I'm going to go ahead and bleed this off. Okay, battery died, but we're back in business. Did get the bead to sit just a little bit higher over there. Now I remember on my last Starcross tire, the bead didn't sit perfectly on it. These are on the rim lock side, so I'm pretty happy with where it's at now. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a little bit of pressure out of this and set it to my desired pressure, which is going to be 14 PSI in the front, and I run about 10 in the back. You guys do what you want, but that's what I run out here where I live, and it seems to work out fine. If I'm riding motocross, I may run a little bit less, but if I'm riding hard pack, I'll run a little bit more. Most of the stuff we do here is a little bit hard pack. So I'm gonna get to 14 using my tire gauge. Okay, and there's 14 right there. On the, let me show you guys right here. On the valve stem itself, what you don't want to do is tighten that thing down. That's what most people do, because from what I learned from Jay Clark, the man himself with Dunlop, you want to leave that up, and you want the valve cap to meet that nut. Now the rim lock, there is not really a torque spec for it. There is, but it doesn't really matter. You just need it snugged up. What you don't want to do is get it super tight, because that will rip your tire and it will bend your rim. So don't do that. Just snug it up. Just snug it up well, and then you should be good to go. Now, I did mention Jay Clark, who, in my opinion, is the man as far as doing tires goes. He really is. He really is. Oh yeah, I forget, the KTM's is a bigger wrench, so let me grab a bigger wrench. I think it's actually a 14 or, can't remember, so I'll just grab them all. But anyway, Jay Clark has been doing tire changes for a ton of years for a lot of big time guys, and he does all the tire changes for all the motocross action magazine shootouts and stuff like that. So he is the man. Okay, that one is wrapped up. I'm gonna get a rag, just clean everything up, make it look pretty, and then we'll move on to the back tire. And I'm not going to talk about the entire back wheel install like I did the front. All right, and there we go. So sick. Alright guys, I don't even know what to say. This bike is looking sick right now. The wheels just turned out amazing. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with how they look. Not gonna lie. Oh goodness. Now, I don't have them tightened up or nothing like that because I still gotta do the brake calipers and things like that, but woo! I can get used to this black stuff. Get used to these black wheels. Oh, that bike's looking killer. Alright guys, as you can see, I struggled just a little bit with that double rim lock on the rear tire. Wasn't too bad once I got it, but it was just kind of one of them deals where I hadn't done it before, so it kind of caught me off guard. After the fact that I totally forgot the rim locks, but anyway, it's on there. It's looking killer. It really wasn't that bad, so it took me a whole 17 minutes to do it, even after I forgot the rim locks. So pretty happy about that. Front probably would take me about 5 or 6 minutes probably. It doesn't take very long on the front. The rear is always harder because it's a thicker tire, smaller wheel, that kind of stuff. So anyway, I hope this helped you out as far as changing your own tire goes. And don't be afraid to try it. Buy yourself an extra tube. If you pinch one, do it again. But I will reference Jay Clark. He is the man at changing tires. So I've always referenced him as far as changing my own tires go, and always worked out amazing. So can't go wrong for sure. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed how the bike looks. It's turning out pretty sick. Can't wait to get this thing done. Yeah, if you guys are here for the first time, please subscribe, give me a like. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks.